You can go ahead and start.
I'll call this meeting to order. It is 10:01 a.m. Anna, will you take roll?
Of course. Okay. Alano? Okay. Bennett?
Present.
Hammerschmidt?
Present.
Lee? Rucker?
Present.
Sermitis?
Present.
Yoon? Not present. We have quorum. Thank you.
Thank you. Call for public comment. The Board of Trustees adopted a public comment policy that applies to all state bar committees, including this one. In its policy statement, it says the state bar welcomes public comment at all of its public meetings and appreciates listening to a wide variety of viewpoints that reflects the diversity of California. The public comment rules are designed to ensure that members of the public may exercise the right to be heard, as well as to ensure that the state bar is able to fulfill its obligation to conduct public business on behalf of the people of California in a timely fashion. Written public comment may be submitted to the email address on the agenda. We encourage you to submit written public comments at least 24 hours prior to the start of a meeting. Written comments received less than 24 hours prior to the start of a meeting will be distributed the following business day. If you bring written materials to a meeting for distribution, they will be collected by the meeting secretary and distributed after the meeting concludes. For oral public comments, persons are encouraged to sign up to speak in advance of the meeting and will be called in the order that they have signed up. Persons attending the meeting remotely will be called in the order that they appear on the attendee list. And in a moment, I'll explain how to raise your hand to tell us that you want to do that. Speakers cannot cede their time to another speaker. It does not guarantee that all who wish to speak will be able to do so to facilitate hearing from as many members as possible. We encourage you not to repeat points that were made by previous speakers. Simply state that you agree with them and to allow the committee the time needed to deliberate on the important topics that it will be discussing today. We will be limiting public comments to 3 minutes per person. As a reminder, the state bar's anti-discrimination and anti-harassment policy says the state bar maintains zero tolerance for unlawful harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. Employees must at all times treat other employees, job applicants, and persons providing services to the state bar with the respect and dignity in accordance with this policy. Likewise, the state bar will not tolerate harassment, discrimination, or retaliation against its employees, job applicants, or members of the public by any employees or by any person with whom the state bar has a business, service, or professional relationship. If you are on Zoom and you want to speak, you'll need to raise your hand unless you are already on the pre-meeting sign-up list. To do so, you click the hand on the hand icon that's at the bottom center of the Zoom window. If you're participating by telephone, you may virtually raise your hand by pressing *9. That's the star key, then the number 9. Our coordinator will call members of the public, starting with the pre-signups, then the Zoom list, followed by in-person signups in the order that they raised their hands or signed up. Staff will enable the microphones on the speaker, start the timer, and then call out when 30 seconds remain. Do we have anyone who wishes to make comments?
We did not have any pre-signups. I do see someone in the public gallery, but no hands are raised.
And we have no planned speakers. Then welcome everyone again. Thank you for all of you that are attending. Let's move on to the approval of the December 8, 2023 California Board of Legal Specialization open meeting minutes. Has everyone had time to review those meeting notes? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
Dana Ruckert, I so move.
Second,
I second.
and all in favor?
I'll be abstaining.
One abstaining, all in favor?
So I'll do roll call.
Okay,
We'll go that. So Alano? Bennett,
Abstain.
Hammerschmidt,
approved.
Lee. Not present. Rucker,
Approve.
Sermitis,
Approve.
Yoon.
Approved.
We have 4 yeses. The minutes are approved.
Thank you. And chair's report. A remote meeting, like a regular in-person meeting of the CBLS, is recorded and will be archived on the State Bar's website. The CBLS will take the items on the agenda in the order that they appear on the agenda, except there is a closed session that is scheduled for 11 a.m. that we will need to go off a little bit early for. If we haven't completed the open session, we will close the open session, go to the closed, and then come back to the open session. Let's go to staff reports. Reports on key statistical indicators. Janelle?
Good morning, everyone. So this is a standing item where we like to provide program metrics to give an idea of an overall program health. We would also like to specifically identify areas where we experience a 20% change, increase, or decrease where applicable when compared to the last year at that time. So we have a total of 4,669 current specialists. Last year we had 4,782. The initial certification applications in December, January, and February of the monthly totals saw a decrease above the 20% when compared to the previous year. December seen as 66.7, January is 67.9, and February 71.43%, except March, which saw an increase of 157.1%. The year-to-date totals all seeing decreases above 20% when compared to the previous year. December seeing a decrease of 49.3%, January as 67.9%, and February of 69%. For the recertification applications, January, February, and March, monthly total saw an increase above 20% when compared to the previous years. January seen as 37.5%, February seen at 200%, and March an 80%. Except March saw a decrease of 28.7. Sorry, there is a discrepancy. The year-to-date totals of the month of February, January, February, March saw an increase over 20% threshold, totaling 215.83%. However, the year-to-date totals for December saw a decrease of 17.40%. The applications, go ahead.
Sorry, Janelle. I was just curious. So what you're suggesting here then is that we're not seeing an uptick in the number of like initial applications for legal specialization, but an uptick in the number of people who are recertifying from compared to last year. Okay, just wanted to clarify that. Thank you. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you.
So the applications received for recertification. Oh, sorry. Oh, yes, that's right. I'm sorry. So January, February, March, the monthly total saw an increase above a 20% when compared to the previous years. I believe I already said that. I'll go ahead and repeat myself. Sorry. January 37.5, February 200, March, 80, except March, saw a decrease. Year-to-date totals. January, February, March saw an increase over 20% threshold. And however, the year-to-date total for December saw an increase of 17.40. I already repeated myself. I apologize. So the applications approved. The initial certification applications in December, February, March total saw decreases above 20% when compared to the previous years. December, we saw 100%, February as well, and March is a 39.13%. The year-to-date totals of the month of February, March saw decreases above 20% when compared to the previous years. We have February at 43.5 and March at 82.6%. Recertification applications. December, February, March, the monthly totals saw increases above 20% when compared to the previous years. December saw 41%, January seen an increase of 75%, and March of 148%. Except for February, we saw a decrease of 64.8%. For the year-to-date totals of the month of December, January, and March, they all saw increases of 20% as well when compared to the previous years. In December, we had 22.6%, January, we had a 75%, and March, we had a 37.1%. When except with February, we saw a minor decrease of 6.25%. For the year-to-date resignations, 2023 resignations processed were much higher than 2022. December and January's monthly totals saw decreases above 20% when compared to the previous year. December, we saw a decrease of 50%, January at 39.5%, while February and March saw increases, with February being 23.5 and March being 150%. The year-to-date totals for the month of January and February saw decreases above a 20% when compared to the previous years. We have January with a 39.5 and a February with 28%, while we've seen in December an increase of 106%. Of the 175 processed in 2023, 97 specifically said it was related to retirement, which is a 55%. And of the 82 processed in 2024, 37 specifically said it was related to retirement as well, of a 45%.
Any questions? All right, thank you, Janelle. Next is a discussion of the technical report of the 2023 legal specialization exam. And again, this is Janelle.
So at the end of the grading for the legal specialization exam, we provided all grades to the state bar psychometrician, Roger Bolles, with Research Solutions Group to calculate and provide us with final grades. Roger Bolles provided us with his analysis for each exam as a part of the technical report that was uploaded to the public agenda. Included was the grades. He provided us with a technical report which details the exam structure, initial item analysis, the computation of raw and scaled scores, pass, failed, and reappraisal rules. We had 416 total takers, 15 applicants who had them read at least twice. And after the first reading of all answers, 22.5% of the applicants failed and 73.8% passed. That's an overall 1% passed after the second reading. Overall, 74.8% of the applicants passed the exam. 75.8% of the 380 first-time takers passed the exam, while 67.7% of the 31 applicants who took the exam for the second time passed. These overall passing rates remain consistent with those observed on the previous 7 administrations of the specialty area examinations, which ranged between 68% and 77%. So there is, if you look on there, there's a star that indicates the population of 11 applicants or fewer. We did not disclose that information due to that information.
Thank you, Janelle. Next is the discussion of the legal specialization program outreach plan initiatives.
Yes, I'll take that away.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
So the intent of outreach is not only to recruit for new applicants, but also to retain our current specialists. Currently, only specialists who reach 20, 30, and 40-year anniversaries receive a lapel pin as recognition for their participation in the program. But we would like to offer the opportunity for any specialist to be able to receive a lapel pin and display that they are board certified. So this first pin displays a CBLS logo. It is a 1 inch by 1 inch to accommodate for the small details, and it is the most uniform option, and it would be applicable for all specialists. Since this would be the pin we could order in the greatest quantity, it would be the most cost-effective option. And you can see on the table that as the quantity ordered increases, the price per unit decreases. So it's just a simple lapel pin with the CBLS logo. The second pin is specific to a specialty, so it has the CBLS logo and the specialty name around it. So since this option is more customized, we would order in proportion to the number of specialists for each specialty. And for those who are dual specialists, they do, or they would have the opportunity to display each board certification by a distinguished pin. And this one is slightly larger by 0.5 inches to accommodate again for the more details to the pin. And lastly, this option is specifically for dual specialists. So it has the CBLS logo on top and 2 charms below the logo for each specialty. It is definitely the most elaborate design of the 3. For this example, I went with the taxation and estate planning specialties as this is the most common dual specialty. But if the board would like to move forward with this option, we can most certainly order for the other common dual specialties, which would be family and appellate or appellate and criminal. Does anyone have any thoughts or questions on the pins or would like to see them again?
Sorry, would these would be requested by the individual specialists and we just send out like some sort of notice that they're available? Is that the concept?
We're not too sure yet. I believe that it could potentially be sold by the program for the hope of some kind of income from this project. But it's still not decided yet. I think right now we're just choosing what designs we would like to go forward with, and then maybe the CBLS can decide on those specifics later.
And the options on the table would be, we want your input. Maybe we give everyone one once they're initially admitted, in the certification process, everybody gets one. If you want to get an extra or something, you could pay for that at a later time, or we charge that just on the onset. It's an option once you're notified that you've been approved for certification, we could sell it. So I think that's up for discussion. So like Anna suggested, I think we're looking at the different types, and then also needed to make it gather input on how we disseminate those, whether we charge and let everybody have one initial one, or like I said, or charge from the onset.
It might be a nice welcome gift to, if we're just doing the basic one, it's pretty inexpensive if we're buying a decent quantity and just as a nice welcome gift. And to me, I think, if you're wearing one, and it doesn't say what your specialty is, it kind of promotes a discussion. Somebody sees it and says, oh, I see you're specialized by the state bar. What's your specialty? And it would lead to a conversation rather than just seeing what it's for. Any other thoughts on that before we move on?
Yeah, I agree. I think making it a little more generic is nice. I think it is a good welcome item to people. And I think even, to the specialists who expressed an interest in having one who have been certified previously, it's a nice reminder that the board's out there. That it's not simply just the $360 they pay every year, right?
Yeah, and we could sell, I think for some attorneys, they might just buy one for each suit and make back the cost of what it's costing to give the first one for free.
Mhm.
I like the more generic one. My thought is definitely for new people to provide one. And I kind of lean towards providing them also, or just sending them to current specialists. And the reason is that when they attend conferences or at court, they're kind of distinguished. And it people will notice that, I think, more.
Any other discussion before we move on? And would like to mention Michael Lee has joined. Welcome, Michael.
Greetings all, thank you.
And next, Anna, outreach events.
Yes. So in the past, staff has participated in attorney events where we've had the opportunity to market the program and bring exposure to it. These upcoming events are opportunities where we could do this again, such as having a booth where we could offer information and answer any questions from potential applicants. The next soonest event is the CAW Convention, which will be in Carlsbad from June from the 20th to the 23rd. The next is the Estate and Trust Planning Conference in La Jolla on July 11th and 12th. There is the San Diego Family Bar Association, which will host a fall seminar on September 20th. The CLA will have their annual meeting in San Diego. The dates are still pending, but we do know it's an annual meeting. AILA, the American Immigration Lawyers Association, will have their 37th annual meeting, which is still pending dates also, but we do know it's annual. And then there is the 50th Annual Trust and Estate Conference in Los Angeles on November 19th, and the 51st Annual Criminal Defense Seminar in San Francisco on December 6th and 7th. And as you can see, most of these are specific for attorneys in specialty areas that we offer. So it could be a great opportunity to recruit potential applicants. Does the board have any thoughts or suggestions or participate in a bar association where we could bring exposure of the program to potential applicants?
I just know, just as a comment, I am part of the San Diego Family Law Bar Association. Those meetings are pretty packed with vendors, so I am not certain that there would be much traction at that particular event. Just a little aside.
Okay. Thank you.
On the other side, I'm a member of the American Bankruptcy Institute, and they do their Western Conference once a year. And that one has fewer vendors, and it's very focused on bankruptcy lawyers. And they seem to have a pretty high percentage of people joining as specialists. So that might be worthwhile to have a little thing at the American Bankruptcy Institute. Might get some traction there.
Thank you.
I haven't been to the annual criminal defense seminar, but I might go this year, and it seems like that would be a good place to promote. I'm not sure how many vendors they have at that. I'll look into it a little bit. Okay, anything else on this topic before we move on?
I do want to mention one thing. So, the idea is to share these dates as dates. I think we're going to try to set up, have a presence at some of these events, maybe with the caveat of the ones that were just raised at this meeting here. But if you're joining any of these conferences, it'd be good to let us know so that you can maybe come and, be a presence at the staff table if we're there. Partner with us at the event if you have some time or any interest. So I just want to put that out there that as soon as we solidify our plans, we'll let this committee know. And then if you'd like to join us, please let us know if you're going to be there anyway.
I will be at that San Diego Family Law Bar event, so definitely let me know. I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Next, we'll be moving on to attorney's fees, and Anna.
Okay, so another way that we could market the program is by showing the added benefits of being a specialist through the increase in attorney fees and compensations that could be available. For instance, the Fresno County District's Attorney's Office and Public Defender's Office both offer a 5% raise for being a certified criminal law specialist. The U.S. Bankruptcy Court Eastern District of California allows attorneys who are board certified in bankruptcy law to increase fees by 20%. The Superior Court of California County of Los Angeles allows family California specialists an additional $107 fee charge. And then many private law firms also offer to pay their employed specialist attorneys their annual fees and recertification fees. And even for new applicants, some firms will pay for their examination fees. So if anyone on the board knows about a jurisdiction or court that offers similar benefits, please feel free to share, or if anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to share as well.
And I'm aware because I was a deputy district attorney in Fresno County when they added the 5%, is the Prosecutors Association and the Public Defenders Association negotiated that as part of their MOU. And that could also be done, at least in criminal law, with other district attorneys' offices and public defenders' offices throughout the state. I just think a lot of them aren't aware that that's something that they should be asking for when they're negotiating their MOU. But that's how it came up. I was on the board and we negotiated that as part of the MOU, and then the public defenders were not getting it. And then they negotiated it as a part of their next MOU. And out of that, I think we have, out of the 300 and something criminal law specialists in California, I believe we have close to 50 of them in Fresno County. Okay, next, specialist census. That's also Janelle.
So we wanted to provide a legal specialist census to all specialists to gather some information on how we can better the program. So here's just a list of some of the questions and how it will be structured when we send it out. So we wanted them to rate the program. We wanted to see what the benefits for them being a part of the program, what was not beneficial, how we can improve the program, how we can add value to the program, go back one, please. Thank you. How we would they recommend those to others? The specific areas you think the program should improve to encourage more interaction. How would we want to share anything about we want you guys to share about your program experience. We want to ask them how they learned about the program. Is the cost of the service reasonable to the relation to the benefits? And then just a demographic survey that we've used in the past for any recruitment for graders, pre-testers, as well as exam developers, since it will be a anonymous survey that will be sent. Any questions? Perfect.
I just want to make a comment that, I mean, for years, I haven't, I'm really happy that you guys are moving forward with the outreach program. And this is really good. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jake.
One of the things I think I don't know if attorneys are aware of or not, the internet marketing is a big part of how a lot of attorneys get business. And I believe Avo and Martindale Hubble and maybe some of the others your chances of a higher rating go up if you are a legal specialist. I think a lot of people might not be aware of how that works, what their algorithms are, but that might be something to look into.
Will do.
I, I also think there's some myths about legal specialization. What I hear most often from people in workers' compensation is that, well, then I have greater exposure to malpractice. If I'm a specialist, I'm held to a higher standard. And I don't think that's really true. I think specialists are better prepared, and I don't think there's any correlation, at least statistically. But there might be some effort to dispel that.
I think that's a really good idea from George, because I've heard that too, from not in the bankruptcy area, but I've heard it with the some colleagues in estate planning and some colleagues in tax, that there is this rumor or something going on, that they thought, oh, maybe that will hold, just like George said, hold me to a higher standard, or it will affect my liability insurance, that the rating will go up. And that might be something to reach out to some of the major malpractice insurers and just ask them to see, does this enter into your thought process? Because it would be helpful if they said, no, you're professional as an attorney, and we rate you as an attorney without regard to the specialist distinction. I haven't really noticed it in bankruptcy, because similar to some other things that we were mentioning, higher compensation, we have to seek employment from the court. And if you're a specialist, it's much easier to get employed. So it balances out the concern, because if you can't be employed, you can't do anything. But that might be an outreach to see about insurers to try to dispel that myth that may be preventing people from exploring it further.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We wouldn't even know why, if somebody has that belief and it's wrong, we wouldn't even know why they're not filling out an application and going through the process. And Janelle, I believe you have additional information for us regarding other outreach.
So the legal specialization wants to contract a production company to produce a video to discuss the advantages of being a part of the program. The legal specialization unit gathered 3 quotes from the companies interested in assisting with the delivery. The 3 companies are Chris Struckman, Zapcast, and Maku. So the project, would approximately start in about 3 or 4 months, and we will, as we solicit talent, to provide testimonials to showcase the program. So Chris Struckman has helped transform clients' brand image and create memorable visual communications. He states that his production will reach target audiences so that we can hit our outreach goals. So here's a quote for Chris Struckman. His proposal was a little over $15,000. And then we have Zapcast. Zapcast provided us with a quote for 3 types of approaches. The approach 1 is a crew shooting in a studio space with a white background for 1 day in each city, and will be an estimate of $45,000. We have approach 2, which is a crew shooting in a designated office space with a white background, and is an estimate of $40,000. And then we have the approach 3 is a crew shooting with a limited crew with a no white background, and an estimate of $32,000. Maku. So the California Attorney Practice Analysis contracted Maku to produce a 1-minute and 25-second video to discuss the values that drive all that the State Bar of California does. Maku's work has demonstrated professionalism, creative excellence, and most importantly, an understanding of the State Bar's messaging and tone, and an understanding of the motivational drivers of our audience, aspiring and practicing the legal profession. Maku's experience and the volume of videos that they have proposed in order to make the campaign work demonstrated an understanding of the project's objectives and success drivers, and has suggested options at several budgeted points that are competitive with other proposals that we reviewed. And they are also demonstrating flexibility in the scoping the project to meet our needs for visible diversity, numerous content deliverables, both video and still photography, and the demanding schedule. Their quote was a little under $45,000. So we would like to provide you a visual of the video that they have provided us for the CAPA. Unfortunately, I don't know why there's any sound.
Still nothing? Right.
Yeah, take your, possibly take your backup account off of mute. Fortunately,
Do you have to click share sound when you share your video or no?
I did.
Oh, sorry for the inconvenience. We'll go ahead and send this out to you guys in a follow-up email so you guys can go ahead and take a look at it.
And just seeing the visual is also, I think, helpful a little bit. Looks like it's well done.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
Well, we can go ahead and move on to item 3B.
Do we want to discuss this one first before moving on?
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, any thoughts on doing this?
Well, you see the quality up front without the sound. You see the quality and the detail and the variety of the individuals. And your own state bar rep, Mr. Wong Nguyen there. That was nice to see. Because he's very knowledgeable.
And to put it in a numbers perspective, with the amount of specialists we have, the cost is about $10 per active specialist in 1 year. If we're doing the $45,000 one, because we have what, about 4,700 specialists right now. So from a budget standpoint, seems pretty reasonable.
Just a quick question. For the video produced, what would we be doing with it? We would be putting it on the website or using it, disseminating it to interested specialists? What would be the plan to how we would use the content?
Yes, we would be using it to for social media, as well as possible at conferences and such, and it would be posted on our State Bar website.
As a matter of fact, one of the things that we're posting for the upcoming release of bar exam results is a link to legal specialization for those people who are going to get sworn in the event that they're interested in legal specialization. So I think we could add, a link to this video as in conjunction with that virtual oath packet material. So I think the idea is just to get it out to as many possible communication methods as feasible. So like Janelle mentioned, I think George recommended this a while ago, like at some conferences, if there's a way that we can get this out there just to inform different specialty areas and our website and social media.
And one of the things we discussed in the past, the great thing about having new admittees know about the program is they can get the applications and start filling them out as they're meeting the requirements rather than do like I did, which was decide to do it and have to recreate your history, which is a pain compared to just adding each requirement you're doing as you do it. Any other discussion before we move on to the next topic? Okay, next is a review and action on applicant request for legal specialization recertification fee waiver. And Janelle, can you summarize this item for us, please?
Yes, so this agenda item provides a specialist request to waive the legal specialization recertification processing fee that was previously denied by staff. The applicant is now appealing staff's decision for additional consideration by the CBLS. A little background is the legal specialization program is funded solely through the collection of fees, annual recertification, late and certification fees. As a result, the specialist fee waivers should not be granted as a matter of course, but rather be limited to extraordinary and compelling and exigent situations. So the applicant's request, let me put this over here. The applicant's request, he originally was certified in criminal law in 2001. His most recent certification term ended in 2022. In 2023, the applicant requested a recertification deadline extension. And then prior to the extended deadline date, the applicant then requested a recertification fee waiver. The applicant requests a waiver to the recertification fee requirements based on moving into semi-retirement and drastically reducing income resulting from that change, or at a minimum, a significant reduction in the fee. There is no additional information or explanation which was provided in his request, and the applicant is current on his legal specialization annual fees. So the recommendation is, given the lack of additional information or explanation of extenuating circumstances, it is recommended that the CBLS deny the request. Jeff?
Yes, so any other thoughts on this?
So the intent in here is not just to simply put the motion up. I think under our Bagley-Keene rules, we have to, or Robert's rules orders, we have to put the Rosenberg rules, sorry. We have to put the motion up as to open discussion. So, you know, this is room for discussion. If you have questions about the process, what information we received, this is the time to do that. So I just want to note that so it doesn't look like we're being very pushy with the motion.
So is there a motion for discussion? Am I doing that correctly?
Yes, this is the motion, and the staff has presented, you know, the how we've concluded and how we've made this determination. So now we'd like to open it up to see if the commission has any questions, thoughts, considerations, or perhaps even may not agree with the staff recommendation.
Personally, I agree with the staff recommendation, given the timing, the lack of explanation by the applicant. It seems to me it would be a bad precedent to do this, because then we're going to get a lot more of it, and you know, maybe we should consider other things down the line for specialists who are late in their career, that we set certain guidelines that would maybe be a fee waiver or a fee reduction, but it doesn't seem like this one. It seems like the staff was right on this one, but any other thoughts?
Other than your last comment about when they're phasing themselves out, I agree. Yeah, they just didn't comply with what the rules were or what the requirements were. So that's the decision. It was the right decision to be made.
I would just say if you find the program and the designation to be that valuable to you, even late on in your career, I don't think the recertification fee is a huge barrier to that, because you clearly have found value in the program and you clearly have found value in that distinction. So I think it's a pretty small fee for a lot of us in terms of how much we bring in based on that certification, on the designation. So I agree, without further information, there's not really anything here that to me seems compelling to waive that very limited requirement.
I would I would agree with that analysis, is that the specialist certification and the specialist program is in addition to the general licensure to be an attorney. You're seeking additional status. We saw in the prior slides potentially additional fees. One seeking additional benefits by simply holding the program requirements to be consistent. We're not denying someone the right to practice the profession. It's, if you want to be part of the exclusive club, you have to follow the rules. And if there's no further information that there's a hardship here, there's some circumstance that warrants deviation, denying the request and following the consistent path that we normally have done seems appropriate.
I feel for this person, and I like the idea of maybe some kind of reduced fee or sliding scale fee if there's hardship. But my concern is if he's not able to pay this fee, what does his operating account look like? How is his practice functioning? Without more information, it just causes me concern about not being able to pay the fee. So I don't think it's a good precedent.
Any other discussion before we make a motion? And is there a motion to that the California Board of Legal Specialization deny the certified specialist request for recertification fee waiver, and further move that if the applicant's application for recertification and processing fee are not received within 30 days of notice, their certification record be closed for failure to meet this recertification requirement?
I motion.
Second.
I'll second.
And roll call.
Alano,
I second or third.
Bennett,
Approve.
Hammerschmidt,
Approve.
Lee,
Approve.
Rucker,
Approve.
Surmitis,
Approve.
you.
Approved.
With 7 yeses, the motion passes.
Okay, and given the time and that we have the 11 o'clock, we need to get ready for that. We are going to close the open session and would ask that we all go into closed session, and then we will come back to open session once we have completed the closed session event. And there is a link, a separate link for the closed section.
The information was sent this morning in an
Okay.
email at 7:53 a.m. if you guys received that for the closed session link.
And from whom, Janelle? Who
It was
sent
from
that?
myself. The
Okay.
email was sent from myself at 7:53 with the information for the closed session link. If you did not receive it, go ahead and let me know and I'll send that again.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll close this Zoom link for now and go into closed. All right, thank you.
background is the current legal specialization rules refers to the program participants as applicants and defines that as an applicant for initial certification or an applicant for recertification. The LS statuses only recognize applicants as certified or not certified. When an active certified specialist leaves the program, retirement, or revocation, they are no longer considered as applicants for recertification. They are then viewed again as applicants for initial certification, who are required to take the legal specialist exam again to start the certification process over should they decide to return to active certification. There is a de facto requirement that is not stated explicitly in the rules, but results from the relation between various rules and definitions. Additionally, at the time specialists are removed, retirement or revocations from the LS program, they are informed that they must retake the exam in order to start the certification process over again. So the applicant's request, he had originally certified in workers' compensation law in 1986. He was appointed to the Workers' Compensation Law Advisory Commission in 2002. He was appointed to the chair for the Workers' Compensation Advisory Commission in 2003. The applicant moved out of state in 2020, went inactive with the state bar, and retired his certification, indicating he is retiring and no longer practicing. The applicant's most recent certification term would have otherwise ended in 2021. The applicant requested reinstatement in 2023. He requested a waiver to the exam requirements to start the certification process based on his previous length of certification and experience in the area beyond practice. And the applicant provides additional experience serving on the on-call, which is the California Applicants Attorneys Association Board, the Education Committee, and the Regulation Committee, including participating as panelists during LSCLE activities. The applicant also called out his age and that the legal specialist exam is only given every other year. He noted that having to wait for the next exam diminishes its value. The applicant indicates that the legal activity since returning to active practice in 2023 has required initiating study of significant cases and changes in the regulations since 2020. And the applicant's further request as a non-exact pathway for conditional reinstatement, which could include completion of LSCLE, which is within a specific time frame, and bringing all his annual fees that would have been assessed since 2020 would be current or have some alternative conditions. So the recommendation is given that the applicant had a 3-year period without practice. 1, the applicant does not meet the 5-year practice requirement for certification. 2, if reinstated, the applicant would be 3 years overdue for recertification. And 3, it would not be appropriate to the public to present that applicant is certified when he had no validation or verification that he is current in his practice, tasks, experience, and education. And as a result, it's recommended that the CBLS deny the request and require the applicant to retake the exam to start his certification process.
So I'd like to open this up to discussion. I agree with the board that this is problematic on multiple fronts, but I'd like to hear from others.
I agree with the proposed motion. I agree with their decision. I'm sorry, their recommendation. I agree with it.
I agree with the recommendation as well. And I actually think it's interesting that he calls out the fact that the legal specialist exam is only every other year, which kind of tells me he doesn't intend on practicing for that much longer. If he can't wait during that 2-year period, it seems as if it's, I want to do this for this period, as opposed to this is a long-term solution and I can wait the 2-year period to take the exam, which presumably he would pass.
It seems he has the experience to pass the test and become recertified, but if we're putting out to the public that they can look up online what it takes to be a certified specialist, including the 5 years of continuous practice in that area, and we made an exception for him, it seems like we're really going outside of our own guidelines in a fairly substantial way. Any other comments before we bring this for a vote, motion?
Anna, would you mind admitting Michael into the conversation here?
Yes, 1 second.
And Jake as well.
It's not giving me the option to. I don't know if
Your other computers, the
okay, I believe they are.
they are in.
Thank you, I'm alive again.
So
Michael and Jake, you weren't able to hear what we were talking about.
Actually, I did.
Yeah, I did
I
too.
was able to listen to everything
Okay.
and watch.
Okay, any comments on this topic?
Yet.
Yes. I'm in agreement with what everyone else has mentioned. I think one of the key things also, it seems like the person voluntarily went inactive and knew that by going inactive that retires their certification. So when you affirmatively turn in the badge, so to speak, if you want the badge back, you have to follow the requirements.
Makes sense.
Hey, your seniority is expired.
Okay, unless there's other comments or discussion, we're ready for the motion. Is there a motion that the California Board of Legal Specialization deny the certified specialist request for reinstatement with a waiver of the exam requirement?
I'll make that motion.
That was Mr. Shermitis, a second
A second.
by Mr. Yoon. Roll call.
Okay. Alano,
Approve.
Bennett,
Approve.
Hammerschmidt,
Approve.
Lee,
Approve.
Rucker,
Approve.
Sirmitis,
Approve.
Yoon.
Approved.
With 7 yeses, the motion passes.
Thank you, Anna. That is the end of the open session items. We've already completed closed session. And is there a motion to adjourn? Or I move to adjourn the meeting at this point.
I move to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay. All right. Thank you all. We'll see you at the next meeting in June.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
See you all then.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.